Today we're going to be ranking the 6 engine swaps that take the Hayabusa V8 engine out of the Suzuki VGT car. Now, although the VGT race car is in fact a fantasy build, the Vision Gran Turismo series, the engine itself has been used in various vehicles before. It's based on the architecture of the motorcycle, the Suzuki Hayabusa, where they bond two of the blocks together to create a V8, which is around 2.6 liters. The motorcycle itself is a 1300cc motor, which is 1.3 liters. This is twice that and very high revving, so it leads to a very exciting car. When you do fully build out this motor, it ends up with 759 horsepower and 477.7 foot-pounds of torque. Now this will stay consistent for each of the cars. That's why I'm going over it now, and we can just go over how much of a gain they get. But let's take a look at number 6. Sixth place on the list belongs to the Suzuki Swift Sport. Now this is a car we all will be using in the game. It's one of the first 3 cars you get when you first start the game, so it's kind of cool to see that it ends up as something with potential to be used in late game as well. Going over the lap on the Tokyo Expressway, it picked up about 7 seconds over the stock engine version, putting down a 2-minute .319 lap, and that's very impressive for this car. It does have 691 performance points, so it's not really a contender for the Tokyo 600. And the big issue with this car is just that it's front-wheel drive. It puts a lot of pressure on those front tires to steer the car, accelerate, decelerate. It's just a lot of work for that front end. Because of that, tire wear ended up around 20% to the front and 10% to the rear. And we got about 6 laps of fuel, which wasn't bad in all honesty. But a lot of that is because you're not really able to put down the pedal fully and just blast through the corners, because it will just strictly break loose. It picks up over around 385 horsepower versus the fully built stock engine and 133 foot-pounds of torque, while adding 1,275 pounds and bringing the top speed up 44 miles per hour on our test track as well, which put it up to 216 miles per hour. So very, very impressive for our first entry here. The biggest drawback, like I said, is just that it's front-wheel drive. It punishes those front tires, and it's just difficult to drive because you're either accelerating or steering. You can't really do both together. In 5th place, we have the Subaru BRZ from 2015. Now, this car actually is a little bit of a strange entry this far down on the list. It is a great car to engine swap. The biggest reason it falls into 5th place is because it's got so many different options. You can actually do the EJ20 swap, which actually works a little better in this platform. Even though it's a less powerful engine swap, it delivers the power to the car a whole lot better, and you're able to go a little quicker. We put down a 2-minute .984 lap time, which was actually a little slower than the Suzuki Sport Swift. And the tire wear was probably a little worse as well, with about 20% wear to the front, and it just punishes the rears, bringing the tire wear to 55%. It also has a much higher performance point rating at 747 after the swap, and like I said, this car can either, in stock form, you can either supercharge it or turbocharge it, and then you can do the V8 Suzuki swap or the EJ20. And with so many different variants available, if you do have a limited number of these engine swaps and haven't quite hit level 50 yet and are just relying on roulette, this is not really the car to put it in. There are better options available, and you can get more from that motor by putting it into another chassis. That being said, it does pick up 351 horsepower and 237 foot-pounds of torque, and the top speed was increased 47 miles per hour, bringing up to 212 miles per hour. So this is a great option to build if you are late game and have money to burn, but if you are reliant on either limited funds or limited roulette engine swaps, this is one to hold off on. 4th place is a little strange with the Suzuki Escudo Pikes Peak race car. Now this car actually gets detuned from this engine swap. It did the test lap in 1 minute 51.909 seconds with about 15% wear to the front and 20% wear to the rears, and it ran out of fuel in about 4 laps. Now, if you just leave this car alone and leave the factory engine in it, it'll actually do the lap in 1 minute 46.690 seconds with similar tire wear. So that's an increase of about 6 seconds by spending a lot of money to end up swapping this engine over. So it kind of begs the question, why would you do that? And the reason you might want to do that, and actually it made its way up to 4th even though it's a detune, is it gets that power band a lot flatter. So instead of this being so peaky with the max horsepower of the stock engine, which hits 1,186, it's a much flatter curve. That way you can use the horsepower and the torque earlier in the RPM. If you are racing on a twisty course especially, you don't have to worry so much about turbo lag. But the car does lose 427 horsepower from this swap and 337 foot-pounds of torque. It sheds a little weight as well, but that's, it's pretty close to what it started with. Now, this is something I would recommend if you have a couple of these Pikes Peak cars and want to have one that's built out, have another one that's built more for competing with these guys right here. It ends up with 789 performance points after the swap, which is a decrease of about 43, and that puts it in a nice area to race with these 800 Group 3 cars. So it's still a good swap, it's just a little different, and it's definitely a luxury, not a need. So that's what put it down here on the list. In 3rd place, we have the BMW M3 from 1989. This is not the Evolution model. There are 2 models, and this is the one that will accept this engine swap. The other one will not. But this converts it from a 4-cylinder to a V8, and it's got that high revving Suzuki Hayabusa motor, so this car is an absolute blast to drive. It ended up doing the lap in 1 minute 55.704 seconds with about 25% wear to the rear tires and about 10 to the front. So it's a great car overall, and it got about 6 laps on the fuel tank, so not bad there either. With the stock engine, it ends up doing the lap in about 2 minutes and 8 seconds. So this is cool. It's over 13 seconds removed, so it drastically wakes up this car, and the chassis is strong enough to handle that extra power without too much interference. It ended up picking up 412 horsepower over the fully built stock version and 260 foot-pounds of torque. The top speed ended up at 228 miles per hour, and in stock form it ended up with 175, so that's 53 miles an hour quicker on the straights. So this definitely wakes this car up, which put it all the way up into 3rd spot, and it's an icon, and it was a game changer for BMW, so it is nice to honor it in this way by putting that V8 motor in it. 2nd place actually surprised me with the Alfa Romeo 4C Group 3 road car, and this one I didn't really have huge expectations for. It is limited in the fact that you can't really adjust the front aero, so that's probably its biggest limiting factor. But this is basically a race car that is classified in Gran Turismo as a road car, I believe for homologation statuses. But this accepts the motor really well. It's super predictable. The extra power is, it just uses it, and it uses it very well. It ended up putting down a lap time of 1 minute 57.466, which was 6 seconds quicker than building up the stock car, which did it in 2 minutes and 2 minutes and 3 seconds. It wore the front tires about 25% and the rears about 40%, and it was only able to get 4 laps out of the fuel supply, so not the greatest in terms of statistics there, but it is a very predictable car, and you can just plan it in the corners and the car will scoot. The The engine ended up making 236 more horsepower than building up the factory motor and 56 foot-pounds of torque. So not any kind of huge gains, but it's very usable. It does not feel like a broken car at all. And we ended up hitting about 200 miles an hour on the straights, which is slower than some of the rest, but you know, it's a street legal road car. So if you do have those classifications, the car handles amazingly, and you can race it against other road cars, even though the thing should be classified as a race car. If you've made it this far, please like and subscribe to the channel. It definitely helps me out, and it helps me know what you guys are enjoying watching and what you're not. I'm trying to change the format here a little bit to, to make this more interesting for you, but let me know what you think. So first on our list is the Radical SR3 SL from 2013, and for good reason. This car, there is actually a version built by Radical that uses this engine. The SL in the SR3 SL actually stands for street legal, so it is not this version of the car, but it's nice that we can kind of pay respect to a car that does exist without actually getting it in the game. If they release it, it'd be amazing. But there is a V8 Hayabusa Radical they use for track-only racing, and it's something that can be purchased. So it's nice that we can kind of build our own in the game. This car is a little bit of a handful to drive and does have limits on the amount of downforce you can add to it, but it sticks pretty well. We were able to do the lap in 1 minute 51.683 at the Tokyo Expressway, and the car ends up with 783 performance points. Now, it picks up almost 9 seconds over this fully built stock version, so it's very impressive. It's very well worth putting this engine in this car. It ends up using the rear tires aggressively though. It's 15% at the front and about 50% at the rear. But with it being such a lightweight vehicle, we were still able to get 5 laps with the fuel. So either way, it's still a great car to build, and the fact that it's a little bit of a handful just kind of makes you a better driver after driving it. It picks up 313 horsepower over the fully built stock version and 66 foot-pounds of torque. And I was able to hit 230 on the straights of the expressway, which is 40 miles per hour quicker than the fully built stock version of this car. So if you end up with only one engine, this is where I would recommend you put it. And then later on, the Alpha's fun, but I would actually probably put the M3 in before the Alpha, just because of the special factor of that car. But either way, I hope you guys really enjoy this video. Let me know in the comments if you would have changed the order at all, and let me know what you think. But thank you so much, and stay clean out there.